From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another conversation with Dee and the crew. Good stuff. We got the beautiful Shann and actually the lovely Coach Dee is back with us on tonight. We got a hot one tonight for you guys, man. We got a real hot one. Actually, this like I was telling the ladies backstage, this random thought came up in the middle of the night. Just scrolling through right before bed and checking out social media. So a friend of mine on Facebook posted something about T.I. and his comments on an article. So I started reading the article after I saw these comments and what have you and whatnot. And T.I. said that his wife is not allowed to pay any bills at all, no matter how much money she makes. Which I understand where he's coming from. I totally get where he's coming from because actually she's the young girl who actually co-wrote the mega hit Scrubs, no point intended, but she was the breadwinner in that relationship when he walked in. So I totally get what he's saying. Let's bring the ladies in here so we can get this topic going. But the topic tonight is, if a woman is solely dependent on a man, how independent is she? I got questions tonight, folks. So let's bring these folks in. What's going on?
Good
Happy
evening.
Wednesday.
I know, Wednesday already. Thank God. I can't believe how quickly this month has flown by.
You see that, huh?
Yeah, so it's Leo season. Shout out to all the Leos. And I thought I had like 2 more weeks before my birthday. I'm like, oh my God, my birthday is like next week.
Yeah, someone has a birthday coming up, so
I haven't planned anything. So this is gonna be interesting. But yeah, this whole month has flown by.
Good stuff. Coach D, how did that emergency session work out? Did everything go okay?
No.
Gotcha.
I'm going to a funeral next week.
Oh
Gotcha.
no.
Sorry to hear that.
It happens.
Yeah, it does.
That's why I drop everything and try to help, but can't always help.
Right.
Totally get it. So did you ladies hear about well, you guys, I'm sure you guys heard it backstage when I was talking about it, but I was sitting there, man. I was actually, honestly, man, to be honest with you, I'll use Taurus loves me to use this word. I was appalled.
Appalled, that's the word he likes for you to use.
He loves me to use that word. And shout out to Taurus. Black Lightning Trucking is the sponsor for tonight's conversation. BlackLightningTrucking.com for all your logistical needs. Good stuff. Check him out on Instagram at Black Lightning Trucking NOLA. But yeah, so think about this, man. So he says, like I said in the opening, I totally agree with him because of where he came from. Okay. She was the breadwinner when he walked into the relationship. Mm-hmm. She's a young girl who actually co-wrote the mega hit Scrubs. No point intended.
Go ahead. We all know Tiny. Let's get to the point.
Exactly. So the point is, I get what he's saying, but for a ton of women to jump on it, these reality TV watchers, they live precariously through these people. This stuff is not real. So you cannot expect your guy who's the warehouse worker, who's whatever type of job, and I'm not diminishing their jobs at all, because they make good money. You cannot expect to come home and say, hey, you know what T.I. is doing for Tiny? Come on, man. You cannot expect that.
I think you need to give us more context about so we understand what.
Well, I'm not going to go into the whole.
I'm not saying that, but I think you need to give us context as to what the comments were.
The comments. Hey, does T.I. have a brother? That's right. What's the problem? My man needs to do the same thing. That all the ratchet comments. Hold
on. Hey, Brendan. We've got several people already on.
What's going on, Brendan?
Good evening, Brendan. Welcome, Martine. And who else did I see on here? Joker Dog, Mark.
What up, Joker Dog? What up, Splash?
But So I mean, why? What's the problem with those comments? What's the problem with some of these women feeling
because
that
it's
they're not?
unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Let's get down to it.
Why is that unrealistic to have?
Let's
To
get
have
we got a
to,
format. Let's get down to it. Let me go through the format here. Let's get down to it. So after reading those comments, reading that foolishness, I come out with a whole bunch of target notes and tidbits. So
we don't know
I
what the
came
comments
prepared.
are though. We have.
Well, I'm
We're
not. I didn't go through them. I'm talking about the topic. We're talking about the topic. I'm not interested in the comments.
just for
We all
those who
know.
can't see us. Just know that I'm shaking my head like
Thank you. Appreciate
I'm
it.
lost. I'm lost and confused here.
Exactly.
I just know
So,
T.I.'s a hypocrite, so whatever.
thank you. Thank you. So let's get down to the point. Let's get down to it. I got a couple of tidbits written here. I got a couple of tidbits here. 7 points, traits that define a strong, single, independent woman, and you need to know them. Again, the
Are you?
traits to define the strong, single woman, and you need to know them.
Oh yeah, tread lightly, sir.
Oh, we'll see. I'm coming in hot. So here we go. Number 1, she doesn't settle for less. She is financially stable. She embraces change. Number 4, she is up for challenges. Number 5, she is confident about her looks. Number 6, comfortable in her own skin. And number 7, she takes responsibility for her own happiness.
And
we'll start there. These are traits that define a strong, single, independent woman.
Okay.
Okay, D.
I think people overuse the word strong. Those characteristics of a healthy woman, period.
That sounds like me.
Strong or independent. Strong is overused. Strong means that women are supposed to put up with all kinds of stuff and keep it moving and move on. It's actually trauma caused and it's detrimental. Like the strong black woman trope that's used all the time.
Yeah.
It's harmful.
Okay, now we'll go.
I'm still missing the correlation between your list of 7 traits and are you tying it back into this whole
whole thing like I normally do? Like I normally do, yes.
Sir, okay. Because are you confused or you understand exactly where we are?
We're on the same page.
You and I, or you and Trent are?
Yeah, the girls are on the same page.
I'm more than sure you are. I'm more than sure you're on the same page.
No, I mean, no, this is not.
We didn't do this for the argument tonight. Come on now.
Nobody's arguing with you. What do you have an attitude? I'm questioning are you going to let me talk? Or are we going to go through this again where you're going to talk?
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
Nobody is ganging up on you. Nobody's trying to argue with you. In order for us to be able to have this conversation or dialogue with you, I'm not understanding the correlation between the show topic and you giving us the context.
The show topic is
you're talking and I'm still talking.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying you're not letting me get my point out because you're trying to respond and you haven't fully heard what my question is. So if Dee is on the same page as I am, they're just trying to understand the correlation between the context of what T.I.'s article or whatever he said, whatever the comments were that you said there are, which we don't know. You've only given us your summation of the comments and your list of 7 traits. So we're just trying to put it together so that we can have an educated kind of or a more informed discussion here with you. Nobody's trying to gang up on you or anything.
I can handle anything that comes to me. So let's not get there. Let's not go there.
You just
let's get to the point.
Nobody's arguing with you. That's the word you use, arguing.
Great. So let's get to the point. So my point is, listen to me. Hold on a second. Listen to me.
Okay. David, welcome to the show. Sir, can we go to commercial real quick?
Thank you, David. Thank you, David.
Do you mind?
Well, as soon as I get the point across, we'll go to commercial.
Okay, hurry and get the point across.
We'll get the point across. So here we go. My whole point is when you're talking about the independent woman, I'm speaking to these women that constantly, if you solely, it's plain as day. If you're solely dependent on a man, how does that make you an independent woman? If you're solely dependent on a man, how does that make you an independent woman? Now, everyone and their mother knows throughout social media, these women get on here talking about, I'm independent, and have Mr. Johnny coming by every month paying a house note, paying the rent, all this other stuff. Come on. I'm not the only one that see this stuff.
We all understand that and know that.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Okay, so but what am I missing something where I'm trying to
I don't
figure
know
out
what you are,
all the
but
stuff that you brought up at the beginning of the show, how all this correlates and ties in together?
let's get down to this, Shannon. Come on.
Okay, so I don't get it because I'm missing something. Tiny had money before T.I. showed up.
That's my point.
She was paying all the bills. So how can he, like, I don't get it how she's not independent now. Well,
I'm not talking. This is not about Tiny. This is not about T.I. This is not about that. The whole thing is the comments that I saw. The comments that I saw from these individuals who actually glorify these social reality superstars, stars, or whatever you call them. And they think that they could actually take their man and make them into what T.I. is actually talking about. That's unrealistic.
Again, because we don't know what the comments are, I can't really speak to it to give an opinion.
I think I'm with it. All right, so here's the thing. Men have made these rules and expected women to follow them, and now they don't like that the rules that they made are coming back to kick them in the behind. Because it wasn't women. It was not women who made the rules about you stay home, you take care of the kids, and you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do this. That was men.
Again, I'm not.
Go ahead. If you're talking about, because you use the term ratchet, being an independent woman, saying that they're independent and having somebody who comes by and gives them money, does that not make them any less independent?
Okay. If she's solely dependent on a man, how independent is that?
Are they really solely?
That's just a question.
Are they really solely dependent on the man?
That's the question. That's the question.
I think it's common sense that if you're solely dependent on a man or anything, you're not independent. So I think I'm missing the point here. Yeah. I don't understand.
I'm more the show. Let's get to the comments real quick, and then we'll go to a real quick commercial. What's going on, Slash? Good stuff. So now, what are you guys missing? Tell me exactly what are you missing in this context. What you guys don't understand. I'm here to listen. I'm all ears.
I'm good.
I'm all ears. I'm all ears.
I'm good.
Now, go ahead. Let's talk about the trauma you were speaking of.
So here's the thing. Us as a societies, we're not. This whole men are the leader is not how modern society has been forced upon since colonialization. For instance, a lot of the tribes in Africa are matrilineal, right? Mm-hmm. It's equality. There's no I lead, and there's no, like, I had a client last week, and he's like, "Dee, you need to tell my wife that I'm the boss." I'm like, first thing, as soon as somebody tells me that, I'm like, well, they have issues because there's control there. I'm like, well, why are you the boss? So when I broke it down, all he did was he went to work and came back. They split the bills. He did nothing in the house with, like, no cooking, no cleaning, no taking care of the kids. Mm-hmm. And they had a condo, so there's no outside work.
Right.
You're not the boss, sir. You're a roommate. Where are you leading? Anyone?
Okay, so I get that. I totally get that, and I'm totally agreeing with you on that. I totally get that. But go ahead.
But people looking out would see him because he makes a lot of money, automatically think without asking that she's a gold digger. Any woman that's with a man who has more money is automatically deemed a gold digger.
Never once have I spoken gold digger. I'm talking about, and I'll read the title again.
I'm reading the article about Tony and T.I. right now.
Okay. So
they called her a gold digger. When she's not paying bills.
How's she a gold digger? No. That the whole point is, if a woman is solely dependent on a man, how independent is she? This is self-explanatory to you guys. It is self-explanatory. Come on. But you do have women out here that solely depend on men. And they be the first, exactly, money-wise. and you get that they throwing the flag up. Come on, man. Let's just be honest about it.
But
It's apparent that people don't like their straight talk, but this is straight talk. No
this is
chase.
it's also a very
And that
class
does
talk
not
as well.
I mean, I am not diminishing a woman's role in anything. But all I'm saying is do not solely depend on a man and say that you're completely independent. Don't do that. That's not cute. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And then you look at you get these people looking at these ratchet TV shows and attempt to try to mirror their life to that person's life. That's unrealistic. Is it not? I mean, it's just a question. It's just a question. That's all.
I think there's a lot of class structure that goes into
Thank you.
that as well, though. Because a lot of people, as cultural and class, I find the United States is one of the most hypocritical sexist societies there are. Because they expect women to do X, Y, Z, but they're not going to give them any power, even though they're doing X, Y, Z. So when it comes down to the family structure, they expect women to do all of this. There's no support. And if they ask for support, then they're lazy, they're ratchet, they're dependent on people. Whereas if you look at how society is run here, there's a lot of issues with the value of women. So if a woman ever dares say she's independent, regardless of how independent she may be, some will be quickly to knock her down. Because she's
like I said, I'm not diminishing. I'm not diminishing them. All I'm saying is, listen, let's breathe for a second. Let's breathe for a second. No one's attacking no one. All I'm saying is, if a man is actually contributing to your life, if he's contributing to your life, say he's contributing to your life. Don't boast that you're independent. You're not solely independent.
There's a lot of insecurity in men.
That's come on, man. We're not gonna do that on this platform.
It is. Here's the issue. Some men, now pay attention that I said the word some, because I'm not in the mood for BS tonight. Okay. Some men have issues with strong women. If a woman is too strong, then they will automatically diminish anything that she does and say that, well, she's butch, she's this, she can't do this, she can't do that, she's not feminine enough. And then at the same time, will turn around and has a woman who will allow them to lead, and then turn around and say, well, she's too much of a pushover, she's this and she's that. You're not friggin' happy no matter what you get.
I'm agreeing with you.
And then they're looking for somebody else. Like, there is no dependent or independent.
I'm agreeing with you.
It's all bullshit.
I'm agreeing with you on that. I'm agreeing with you on that. But let's just be honest and let's be fair. Let's not be one-sided. Let's be fair. How many times have you seen some of these women, not all, some of these women say that they're solely independent, knowing damn well there's a Mr. Johnny that's taking care of everything? These are the women that I'm speaking of. I'm not speaking of a Shannon. I'm not speaking of a Dee. I'm not speaking of all the women that I know. I'm not speaking of those women. There are women out there that do this. A high number of women that do that. I'm not attacking. Yeah, that number's pretty high.
Is it pretty high, or is media enforcing how high it is?
I don't know. I don't know what the media's doing with that.
Because statistically, that figure doesn't match the math.
Let's get the Joker dog real quick.
Oh God.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Can you help with
No, I can't see. I can't see it. You can read it.
Oh, it sounds like Trent is saying when aren't acknowledged what a man is doing for them. Women aren't acknowledging what a man is doing for them.
Pretty much.
So you guys need your ego stroked.
It's not about the ego, D. It's not about ego. No, it's not. It's not about ego. If someone's giving you their hard-earned money, you at least acknowledge, show some type of appreciation. That's all I'm saying. Show some type of appreciation.
So what is this appreciation going to look like?
To me, appreciation is, hey, listen, acknowledge that. Acknowledge that you're appreciative of everything. Maybe that man giving up his last $20. Who knows? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You see this all the time in these relationships, these one-sided relationships. But you benefit. Hold on a second. Some women benefit off of this stuff, never acknowledging the breadwinner, the true breadwinner. Let's be honest about this now. Come on.
You know, I'll be honest.
Let's do some straight talk, no chaser. That's what the platform is about. Straight talk, no chaser. I mean, if I'm rubbing a couple of feathers, that's just what it is.
No, straight talk. Here. There's no feathers being off. There's a lot of trauma involved in that. It's control.
That's what I want to get to.
But when you start,
is it one side? Is it one-sided? Is it one-sided trauma though?
It's two-sided.
Thank you.
You should never require acknowledgement from somebody else, because that means you're not giving freely. If you need acknowledgement when you give, then you need to stop giving.
Exactly. So let's talk about both sides of trauma. That's just like we spoke earlier offline. Let's talk about the two-sided trauma here.
Yeah, you didn't mention the whole comment thing off about T.I. Anyway, so
I know
here's the trauma. So when you give of yourself to others, that should be done without requirement of acknowledgement or an appreciation. Because if you do put an acknowledgement or appreciation or some kind of context on what you're giving requires from somebody else, you are not giving then. You're purchasing. You're making transactions.
Exactly.
And that's trauma-based. Somebody, like, I had a friend, just a guy friend, known each other for like 30 years. I had mentioned a perfume that I wanted, I couldn't find down here. He just bought one, sent it to me.
Right.
He goes, I heard you said you needed that. Here you go. Absolutely no requirement of appreciation or anything, because he wanted to give freely. Like, I said thank you and all that stuff, but there was no requirement. Nowadays, there's always this requirement. When I give you something, you have to do this. That's
now
not giving.
Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes.
But that's not giving. You're on a very thin line with me tonight, sir. I'm warning you. This is not tonight.
Come on, let's go.
So
I got you.
When we start putting these arbitrary rules in place, because when it comes to relationships and the whole independent-dependent thing, it's very arbitrary. Because then people start talking about the alpha male and betas, and they call men simps if they give women all their money. But then if you look at historically, then they're like, well, I'm an alpha male. I want women to be like they were with my grandmother. I'm like, right. Sir, your grandfather gave your grandmother his check. Like, hello, y'all don't know history about anything. So they're putting all these values that they made up that some quasi guru told them that don't match what has happened in history, and it's all trauma informed because the person teaching them has not healed themselves, and then they're teaching a whole new generation of men who are going to cause more harm to others.
Let's get to some of the comments because these guys are coming in. Lanya Banks says you can fall short sometimes, but independence is solely on your own. Totally agree.
Nobody's ever on their own. It's independence and dependence is a farce. It's like people saying they're self-made man. No one's a self-made man. They've always had help.
I could agree with that.
We end up having the guy saying that we've got what we need and that there's no room or reason to have them.
Now let's talk about that for a second. So she says they end up with guys saying that. Can you repeat that?
We end up having the guys saying we've got what we need and that there's no room or reason to have them.
After what though? End up after what? After what is taking place before that?
Well, they've obviously not made themselves useful in anybody's life.
Right.
If you're not useful,
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Lanya also says.
Lanya says, I tell you, you may not need to acknowledge, but I tell you what, don't be a servant to them again. People know where they are wrong. We don't need to explain that to them.
Exactly.
Yeah. But there are givers and there are takers. If you have somebody who's a take, that's the whole difference in somebody who's giving and requiring acknowledgement. That's two different situations. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, taking is trauma informed as well. If somebody's never been giving anything in their entire lives, they're going to try to take as much as they can because they don't know when it's going to happen again.
Exactly. Right?
But you know what? Some of some of you guys you're lucky that sexuality is not a choice, because some of you be left alone forever. You're trash.
I'm not. Here's the thing. Let's get the mark real quick, and I'm gonna respond to that.
As a young boy say, stop the cap. Oh my God! Only on TV and the internet does the topic make sense. It's no cap. If you're gonna use slang, use it properly.
And Joker Dog also says
they're receiving some level of support. And what support is that man receiving in return? We never discussed that. Nobody ever discussed that.
Let's go back so we won't. I don't want to confuse the viewers here. When we came in, actually, be honest with you, I'll give you guys a little bit of give you a bird's eye view from the background of the conversation with Shann and I. So Shann and I didn't agree on this topic when I first mentioned it. She didn't. So we had our spill offline. This is how this works. How the conversation works. This is totally natural. And I'm not going to mince my words just because she's unhappy. And as she's not going to do the same for me.
First of all, I don't need you to mince your words. You never have to mince your words, but you do need to be respectful.
And I agree. I totally agree.
And you have not been respectful.
I came in a little hot.
It wasn't a disagreement. I didn't understand then, and I didn't understand now when the show started. You being the typical ass that you like to be at times, wanted to take a certain stance and be disrespectful. So instead of me just logging off, I'm just waiting for break at this point in time. So whenever I'm just waiting for break.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. So again, like I said, as far as the topic goes, that was my only question, and I asked that question. If you're solely depending on a man, how independent is she? That's a simple question. That's not for everybody. I'm not doing target practice on every single woman in America, but hit dogs do holler. So, I mean, I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. But I want to get down to the trauma of it, D, like the conversation we had, and we had a great dialogue going back and forth, and you had some great points.
Yeah, and now I was upset because the conversation we had prior to this was not the conversation you started with. So I was like,
I came in a little hot. I will admit to that. I did come in a little hot.
All right, so let's go back to trauma. So trauma dependence is what is the word thinking of? Hyper independence is a trauma response. So if somebody's hyper independent, I guarantee you that sometime in their life they have not been supported.
Exactly.
So if you tell somebody who's hyper independent that they don't need you, they're going to agree with you because you have just proven that you will not support them if they need. There's the old saying, if you can't accept me at my worst, you can't get me at my best, right? Trauma involves work. So if people expect these perfect people and they expect a lot of, if I give you this, I want this in return. But if somebody tries to do the same, then they're going to get up in arms about it.
And honestly, men have a whole bunch to do with that. There's a whole thing that bears on their shoulders. That's my point. Men have a whole bunch to bear on their shoulders. Because for me, men have a whole bunch to bear on their shoulders because they open their hands like cups and they just pour it in. Sometimes you have to say no. How many times I said that on the podcast? Sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you have to say no. It's a no. It's a no for Trent. Sometimes you have to say no. No, I'm not coming that way. No, I'm not going that way. Mm-hmm. All these yes. This is the problem. Men have done that to themselves. All these yeses. Yeah, sure, baby. Trying to impress all this other stuff. That's the problem. It's gonna always be a no for Trent. So let's get to the break and let's get back to the comments and get back to your point on trauma, D. We'll be right back after the break, folks. We'll be right back.
Come back, Shannon, please. You can't leave me with them.
Night, D.
No, she gonna say good night. We'll see Shannon on Sunday.
Night, everyone.
Good night, Shannon. We'll be right back, folks.
Thanks for tuning into Conversations with Trent. We will be right back with more conversation after these commercial breaks.
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show.
Coaching the things here. But before we do that, for all you, if you need some exposure, contact Taylor Kennedy Media at 504-677-9733, and we'll blast you out on the EXO podcast, as well as the 30,000 folks that follow me over on Instagram. So good stuff there. Need more exposure for your business? Contact Taylor Kennedy Media, 504-677-9733. Okay, D, let's get back to it. So the conversation that we had online, we were talking about was trauma on both sides of it.
Okay.
So can we get to that? Why do you say it's trauma on both sides? Why?
Because there's a lot of control in the whole independent conversation. There's a lot of trauma and control in the I need to be the leader.
Right.
People are like, well, how is there trauma and control? I'm like, if somebody says I need, anytime somebody says I need, that's a control.
Right.
Like I want, I can be are different. And then people, what? Go ahead.
When you say that, like, and I'm totally agreeing with you that there's trauma on both sides of it. The whole I need thing, that's somebody who wants control. But why would someone want to place themselves in that situation? Like, why? I mean, I know situations place people in there to where they're actually having to depend on man solely, but why wouldn't you try and work your way away from that instead of constantly dealing with that, going at a person with your hands out like cups? At some point, at some place, we have to take responsibility for our own toxic we bring to our own parties. That's my entire point. I'm not disagreeing at all. But we have to take personal responsibility for the things that we bring to our own party, the toxic that we bring to our party. That's just like with me. I got to take personal responsibility for the toxic I bring to my own party. Where's the responsibility, man?
Well, you're not going to like where this all comes from, though, because people don't like it when I bring it up.
Please, I do, because I know exactly where you're going with it. Come on, do tell.
Religion.
Explain. Go ahead.
It's religion. Straight. It's pure simple. Everybody talks about the Pilgrims came over and they were strong. The Pilgrims were kicked out because they were extremists. Correct. That's why they were kicked out. So then the Bible has been used to oppress basically since it began. So exactly. you go to any church nowadays, and girls are raised to be wives. They're raised to be dependent on men. And then when they get out there, they have no other choice but to be dependent on men because that's what they've been told. And if they go against it, then they're told they're going against God. And so we have this whole evangelical right currently running in this country that is putting us back 50 years, where women are supposed to be subjugated to being less than. And so then when people talk about, well, women are dependent, I'm like, well, Jesus, like you set this up. What do you want?
I see your point. I definitely see your point. That's what I'm saying. So I see your point, and I'm agreeing with your point. There's no debate there with you and I on that. There's no debate. There's no debate at all. There's never no debate with us. Yeah, never, because I totally understand. I totally get where you're coming from. But my whole point is, when the women that are still filled with toxic, and men, when are they going to take personal responsibility for the toxic they bring to their own party?
And I'll tell you all the time, people do not know they're toxic if nobody tells them, if they don't have help and they don't see it, because they are repeating the cycles that they grew up with. That's why we have generational trauma. If you're repeating, you don't know.
Let's hit a couple comments real quick. Let's hit a couple comments real quick. She says she's agreeing with you. Mark says
sugar daddies play the background even though they're bankrolling and checking traps. Reminds me of Set It Off. Some modern women's love come with a cost. Water nor Jesus isn't free. Oh, Lord.
Well, that's actually absolutely right. Water isn't free, and Jesus isn't free. They selling it. They're selling it all day long. I totally get where he's coming from. They sell it all day long. But
listen, I'll say one thing that people hate when I say it. If the Bible was so good, they would never have taught it to slaves.
Here's the thing, man. I know you so well. I know your back. I know your thoughts on all these topics. When I sent it to you, there was no up in the air or anything like that. We talked. And you broke down exactly what the issue was. That's called true coaching. No one should take personal attack like it's oh my God, Trish personal attack. I'm not attacking anyone.
You don't listen, sir. You get disrespectful. You don't listen. Even I was getting mad at you. Like I was ready to walk out because I'm like, sir, if you don't stop it, this is gonna end quick. But here's the thing. Society these days, I talk to people all the time and I get so like, oh my God, you need to like go to a therapist. Because people have these strange ideas. They're reading like YouTube videos about relationships and they're reading different trash novels that they shouldn't be reading. Like if you mention Estelle Perel, I don't even want to talk to you because she has some screwed up ideas that just don't work in modern society.
So Joker Dog is actually contesting this here. He said, Coach D, that's not taught in my church.
What's not taught in your church? That men lead and women are subjective? It's right in the Bible.
He also says he totally disagree.
You totally disagree? We're taught in the Bible that women do not lead, that they should be silent. What Bible are you teaching, sir? I have a biblical studies degree. I've studied that book. If they're teaching the Bible, they're teaching that.
Let's talk to Lanye. What's Lanye saying?
It's really not a simple question if a female is intimidated by what you're saying. So this is why you're never going to get a straight answer.
Boom.
Not a simple question. Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much.
Please don't log off.
That was Brenda saying, please don't log off.
She's gone. She left.
She'll be back Sunday. She's always, she'll do that. She get hot with me and she'll come right back. She'll be right back. She'll be back on Sunday.
Yeah,
she'll be all right. I'll send her some flowers or something.
Good. Modern society is just, it's backwards. And that's what the expectations and the requirements that they put on.
And here's the thing for me. This is what's so frustrating to me, that everybody follows the leader. Everybody jumps on that bandwagon and they go that way. No matter if they're going down the rabbit hole, these people are gonna jump on that wagon, they're going with it. Period. Yeah. And that's what's irritating to me. That I think honestly I came in hot because I started reading those comments, and I'm like, man, these people are so lost. These people are so lost. Like, how can you compare a multimillionaire to a warehouse worker? What type of stress and pressure that you're placing on this man's chest? Are you serious? This is not reality. This is not reality. That's my entire point. Turn the TV off and open a book. That's how frustrated I was.
Well, it's funny because statistically, that warehouse worker is more likely to do more than the multimillionaire.
Thank you.
But
thank you.
But let's not talk about that, because then people don't want to know that money doesn't mean everything. That's a whole other conversation.
Exactly. So, Martine says,
please read the comments, y'all. I can't see the comments. I'm on my cell phone.
There you go. Go ahead. There you go.
Listen, Dee, you're hitting them on the head tonight. I've said that if the Bible were any good, it certainly wouldn't have been taught to us. Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely.
Mark said, I almost got kicked out of Bible school because of that when I told somebody that.
Mark says,
if that's true about the Bible, then I wonder why women pick the church house, the church hats and all.
That's a good question.
Because it's beaten into you for generations. Think about it. Go back to when we were first enslaved and brought over. What was the first? We were not allowed to read, but we were made to sit and listen to the Bible.
Martine also says,
when women have a voice and aren't sitting around waiting for their man, they're sometimes considered masculine.
Yep. Yeah, but and that's that's another thing with the men. Great point, Martine. These men get intimidated by masculine women. Actually, that's a huge turn on for me. But what am I going to get intimidated for? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that. I don't get that.
I had a man once tell me when I was in the military. He goes, "I'm not afraid of you. I've got balls." I'm like, "Sir, I've literally grown a pair. So I don't know how tough you think you are. You were born with them. I built them from scratch." And I'm like, all people are masculine and feminine. That's how genetics and DNA works.
Exactly.
All babies are born female until there's a testosterone wash.
Exactly. We studied that.
And there's a whole other conversation about that. Always doesn't
exactly
do what it's supposed
to. But here's the thing. Here's my hope for this generation, and apparently the generation that I'm in. I hope that we could actually sit down and have a civilized conversation about relationships as a whole, not just romantic relationships, without it being a tug of war. Nobody wins when there's feuding. No one wins at all.
My money's on Gen Z and Gen Alpha because they're a lot more in tune with emotional intelligence than the rest of us. Gen X are a lost cause. They take too much pride in being latchkey kids and being neglected and trauma. And I was beaten and I'm normal. No, you're not normal.
Exactly.
You think beating a 2-year-old's fine. That's not normal. So Gen X, sorry, love you. I'm a 71, but yeah, most of us are a lost cause if we haven't had therapy.
Joker Dog has a long one for you.
Oh, God. Coach D, the Bible has not been taught with love. Men are taught that the greatest responsibility in marriage falls on the man. The Bible is a book of love and it's not taught like that. Oh, yeah. The Bible, I told you, the Bible is used to oppress. So it's like people talk about, oh, you're going to hell. There's no hell in the Bible. If you've actually read the Bible and read the correct translations, there is no hell. Like, I'm not getting into a religious conversation tonight because
Mark says, Mark says,
I don't send the flowers. No, he needs to send flowers. There would be respectful to send flowers, sir.
Yeah, but I mean, she owes an apology as well. Now, come on, let's not go there. It's not one-sided. The conversation will never be one-sided. I stood here and sat here and said, "Hey, listen, I came in hot. But yes, come on, man.
So send some flowers and apologize to the woman.
I'll think about it.
Be nice before Mickey send me some too. But yeah, it's, you know what, it's I had this conversation a couple weeks ago. I was talking to somebody and they're like, well, you're intimidating. I'm like, how am I'm not intimidating. You're intimidated. So if you
I
are
could agree with
secure,
that.
if you are secure in who you are, you should be looking for somebody as equally strong as you are. You should never
Right.
require somebody to dim their light so you can feel better about yourself, because that relationship will end up with resentment. You should be able to equally shine in your own spotlights. So
I was looking for the cookie lady.
yeah, and it's sad that so many people, that unfortunately there's too many who think that they need to be the only one in the spotlight and they need to push their other half off into the dimness. And
Exactly. But a true leader will allow everyone to shine.
yeah, yeah,
A
but
true
people,
leader will allow everyone to shine.
yeah, but not everyone are true leaders. That's the thing.
Totally agree.
Some people think that because they have something dangling between their legs, they're a leader. I'm
I
like,
have to read this comment because I totally agree with Martini. Don't
yeah,
dumb down for anyone.
no, don't do it.
Again, and I'm gonna piggyback on it. Thanks for the alley-oop, Martine. Just like what the conversation was formed, right? Years and years ago. I've never been in a popular seat with the conversation because of the way I've injected things into people. I've
Right.
never been popular with the stuff that I say. I've never been popular with it.
Mm.
But I did not yield. But you can't tell it to the thousands of people who've purchased those books.
Oh no.
I did not yield. And I'm not gonna yield. I'm never gonna yield because somebody's feathers get ruffled. It's not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
The only person you could be is your authentic self.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
There,
Totally get that.
there is a saying about that somewhere, but I can't remember it. Oh well. Be yourself and not a copy, whatever. Something like that.
Exactly.
But
Well,
yeah,
let's get down to um 1 second. I had this stuff jotted down. And what makes a strong woman independent? I'll read a little bit, and then you give me your tip it on. What makes a strong woman independent? Being a strong woman, independent woman, means that you are able to find happiness on your own. You have self-confidence without having to rely on another person or society for validation. It means emotional independence and being able to have healthy relationships with others. Again, healthy relationships with others without falling into codependent patterns. What's a codependent pattern, Trent? Well, always looking for someone else to do things for you. As if I was looking for a codependent to help me get out of that wheelchair and to get out of that bed, I'd be dead by now.
but
I'd be dead by now.
codependence enables dependence, though. Codependence is not.
Exactly.
It's not like a one-way street. Like you'll see, like on the what show is that? 600 pounds or something like that, where they're in a codependent
Yeah, some
relationship.
600-pound thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
where the other people in the relationship are usually feeders, so that person can never really lose weight because they're enabling it. That's a
Exactly.
codependent relationship. So I think,
I.e., that's another reality show.
yeah. Well,
Exactly.
here's the thing: is too often we look at unhealthy versions of what we should be doing because that's what we've seen growing up. That's what we see on TV. That's what we read in books. That we would watch in movies, and that's what we become like. That's what our vision is. Like we had generations, like 2 generations of girl raised on Disney, where you find your prince and live happily ever after. Right?
Exactly. I totally
And
agree, Martine. Martine says that there's room on this planet for us all. It is.
I think that list actually just describes a healthy person, male, female, non-binary. It's just a healthy person. So I
One
think
more time, D.
the list describes a healthy person, male, female, non-binary. It's just a person, period.
Exactly.
So I think too often we get it like we'll have to go over have a conversation with this divine feminine and divine masculine stuff that I see out there these days. Because
Exactly.
I looked at the list and I'm like, that's some straight trash. Like women aren't
Exactly.
thinkers. Like, please, it's there's a lot of subjugation in some of this new age spirituality that's based on dismissing, it's gaslighting. There's a whole lot of stuff happening that is not based in actual reality. And then people are like, well, you're not enlightened. Like if somebody says they're enlightened, they haven't had therapy. Because nobody who's had therapy will ever say that they're enlightened. They'll say they're aware.
Let's dig into Martine's comment real quick here.
Thinking that you're unable to function without each other. Yeah, that's codependent.
Exactly. Yep. Mark says,
history and literature provide documentation, facts about leaders. 90% of them are dangling and swinging some between their legs. It's because women weren't allowed to lead, sir. There's a difference between men leading because they could and women not being allowed to lead. Even when women were not allowed to lead, there were still fierce women leaders amongst them.
So you know what? Let's get to the frustration of this.
Yeah.
When you said, let's get to the frustration. Women do have gripes. There are some gripes from legitimate women. There are gripes. There are gripes. I agree with those gripes. There are gripes. So at some point, I mean, I think it's like in the 60s, you guys could start to vote.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So there are gripes. So we can't diminish that. And that was my whole point. You can't, I'm not trying to diminish a woman's place in this world. I'm not trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to do it at all. All I'm asking for is take personal responsibility for the toxic you bring to your own party. You should not be dependent solely on a man. That's the entire point.
Well, then you, sir, need to get out to all these evangelical churches and tell them to stop preaching it.
Well, I don't go to church.
Call out Roe. What is it? There's a woman on Facebook. She has it's called Wife School, and she's setting up girls for trauma. Like I can see it in the stuff that they tell them. Like you're only allowed to wear dresses. You can't wear your hair. Your hair has to be done all the time. Your makeup has to be done all the time. Blah blah blah. And basically, women have no control of their finances.
But
control everything.
And it's like 10 minutes before the hour. But I want to get to Kimberly out of Houston, Texas. She's a social worker out of Houston, Texas, for the Klein School District. Okay. And I got her thoughts on this entire topic, right? So she wanted me to actually quote her saying this.
Okay.
So I told her about the topic. So she says, Kimberly says, I works with an S, my ass off, so I have my own money. He can't say shit when I spend my own money. This is why she's independent. She don't want to be told that she can't go to the mall. And she said that, and with cap it off, just paraphrasing what she said. She says that she don't want to be dependent on a man, on her husband, or any other man, because she don't want to be told what she can spend and what she can't spend. So this is why she's independent. So for the women that actually depend solely on a man, she was saying, well, you do what he says, and when he says it and how he says it. You just take it. That's coming from a woman. That's from Kimberly out of Houston, Texas, a social worker out of Klein School District.
It's still control.
That's the whole point.
It's all about control, man.
Exactly. So women have a choice. You don't have to be in that relationship. You do not have to be in that relationship.
Well, tell people to teach their sons better then. Because there's a generations of men who have raised that regardless of.
There's a whole bunch of men with thinking like that. There's a whole bunch of men with thought process like that. That's why you have to run away from those people. Right. That's why you got to stop kissing all those frogs we talked about last week.
Well, that's the only way you find them, because most of them will give you their representative who will who will show you the person that you want. And then once you get them, then there's this other retired completely different soul. That's why most domestic violence doesn't happen until after the person's married, once they've caught them.
That's deep.
There's a whole different conversation about that.
That's deep. That's deep.
You know, and I get people in my DMs tell me, well, you'd probably have a man if you were less strong, if you were less intimidating. I'm like, no, because I don't want somebody who I need to dim myself for. He needs to be bright.
To me, what a man saying that he's magnifying his insecurities.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you know what?
He's
It's people need to stay off TikTok and conspiracy theories and YouTube and do more self-development stuff.
Martine says wife school. More than sure is something that she's coming to Mark about. She also says,
I know guys who said that they won't pair with women who are already own a home. Does he have a home though, or is he one of those homosexuals jumping from couch to couch?
one more time so they can get it.
I said, does he have a home, or is he one of those homosexuals jumping from couch to couch? Like I have seen conversations in groups with men who have like 3 children by 3 different women who won't date women with kids because they don't want to take care of somebody else's kids, but they want her to take care of somebody else's kids. I'm like,
exactly. Again, this comes into this guy. All these, and I have to say this. I'd be remiss if I didn't. All the topics that I push out every week ties into one another. That goes back to the kissing frogs. I'm trying to get them to slow down from kissing frogs. You run into these frogs, and you run into all these situations because there's no discernment. You kiss the frog. Let me kiss. Oh, that didn't work. So let's go to the next frog. Let's go to the next one. You run into a whole bunch of duds. You got a dead end at every single frog you meet. Now, where's the problem?
There's a lot of frogs out there, sir.
I know, but if a woman is running into every single frog, a dead end with every single frog she meets, where's the problem?
Well, we always go with the common denominator, but here's the thing. People are good at lying.
I agree.
And putting out their representative. If people were more honest and have more authentic, then there wouldn't be as many frogs because that first conversation would never go further.
I agree.
I think society needs to like have a sit down, get rid of some of the trash that's on TV that makes absolutely no sense. Stop propagating. Stop promoting unhealthy relationships and promoting healthy relationships and communication and emotional intelligence.
Here's the thing. There are grown women buying into this reality TV. They set their timers on their televisions for this stuff. Whatever you feeding yourself, this is what you become.
Yeah, that is true. For some, it's an escape from the trauma of their own lives, though.
Again,
you
got to take some type of responsibility for your own toxic you bring to your own party.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
It is. So what's your teachable moment? We're up on a minute here. What was your teachable moment?
Tonight?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not in the mindset for a teachable moment tonight, I don't think.
I got you. But tonight, the teachable moment for me is we should always try and understand each other. We should always try to understand each other. Cooler heads will always prevail, no matter the situation. We should always try understanding first. As simple as that, man. As simple as that. When we talk about if a woman is solely dependent on a man, how dependent? That's a simple question. It was a simple question.
There's never simple questions when it comes to people.
I know. When I set these up, I throw target words in there, and that solely was the actual target word. Solely, it was a target word. But my whole point is, I'm just trying to get to the solution of it all. Why are you solely dependent on a man? That's the whole question. Like, why are you doing this? I mean, come on, we're in desolate times, and why are you completely solely dependent on that man? Why?
Why has society been that way for generations?
Exactly.
It's only since 1974 that women have been able to get their own bank accounts.
Right. Well, the teachable moment for me is if you have your own back, you won't have to need the other back. You have your own back, don't even look for the other one to actually scratch it or do whatever they do with their back. That's their back. Have your own back. So it's 1:08, man. We'll talk on Sunday, and I'll dig up a topic out of this topic here. But the show for tonight. But as always, D, it's always a pleasure. I always appreciate you for everything. So I appreciate you. I'll see you on Sunday.
All right. We'll talk Sunday. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, folks. So we'll see you guys on Sunday with another hot topic. Again, conversation is what it is. Straight talk, no chaser. Sometimes she get hot, sometimes I get hot. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. So this is Grown Folk Talk at its finest. Grown Folk Talk at its finest. So until next week, watch until Sunday. We'll have another hot topic. You guys be epic.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.